Hey folks, so you remember last week when I said I think the next few episodes were going to be kind of hype? Well, I was right! I knew it! This is gonna be good. So yeah, with that said everybody, we are here to talk about episode 11 of Tower of God, Underwater Hunt Part 1. We got a two-parter, possibly three-parter, we'll see what happens. But that said, before we begin things, I do, as always, want to give a big thank you to those of you who shared last week's video over on Twitter. So a big thank you to Naya3142, Daniel STG, Bubba Lubber, Mr. Canada 2, and K Horizons. Thank you all so much for sharing last week's video over on Twitter, everybody. It is super appreciated. And if you too would like to have your name shouted out in the next Tower of God video, then be sure to share this video around on the internet and then tag me at JoJo Talks Too Much over on Twitter, and I will be sure to shout out the first 5 of you in next week's video. Also, if you haven't done so yet, we are trying to get the channel to 25K before the end of the year. It's gonna be close, but I think we can pull it off. So if you haven't yet, consider hitting that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into things. Oh, this episode was so good. Okay, so we gotta start by having a little bit of a moment where we give our compliments to the chef. And the chef in question this week is none other than the man himself. Kevin Penkin needs, no introduction. But my God, the music's always good, but every time there's a fight going on, he always just manages to get the perfect feel for the mood, right? He's perfect at making these tracks where it's vaguely almost mysterious and ethereal, but they're hard hitting and they're blood pumping, they get your blood pumping, you know what I mean? There's just something about his tracks that so perfectly fit Tower of God. Now his tracks have always been good. Nobody's, that's not in any question at all. But I'm just saying, the Tower of God, the man is particularly on fire. So I would feel remiss to not take a moment to say, holy crap, the man's music is perfect. Especially for this episode. It's always been perfect, but this episode, this and the Crown Game, I feel like Penkin's music was at its friggin' height, and it is back at its height here. This track is these tracks, between Shibisu jumping at the bull, Anak fighting the goat guy whose name I have forgotten. Is it Ren? Ren? Yes, it might be Ren. Ren and Stimpy? No, not that Ren. But when Ren fights Anak, Shibisu jumping at the bull, these tracks, they feel, like I said, almost mysterious. They have that vibe that Tower of God ironically has. This sort of interesting, but you don't know the full scope of things type of shonen-y battle series where things are still left mysterious. You don't know everything. You don't know how the tower works completely, and I always feel like it's better that way. I'm personally not a big fan of exposition dumps and here's how this works. Give me a little teaser and then leave the rest to my imagination. I like mystery in my world building, and Tower of God has that in spades, and I really genuinely believe that Penkin was the perfect pick for music because, again, his music has this weird sort of ambient yet, I don't know, yet fist pumping feel to it. Something about it is mysterious and you want to know, you want to see where the song is going because you want to see if it's gonna hit a drop, but when the drop hits, it knocks you on your ass. So yeah, Penkin's music, especially in this episode, I feel is absolutely perfect. Then let's go ahead. I have 2 big points that I want to hit on, right? Of course, I want to talk a little bit about the underwater test. But the other big thing that I want to talk about is Yu's scheming. Now, I saw some people say that they don't like that I say Yu. Just consider it a nickname if it makes you feel any better, okay? Because I'm gonna call him Yu. That's what I've been calling him, so I'm just gonna keep calling him Yu. So Yu, or how about this? How about Barista Boy? Does that make you feel any better, or would you prefer Yu? I'm gonna stick with Yu because I have a feeling people would be like Barista Boy. I kind of want to change it to Barista Boy. I'm calling him Barista Boy. Screw it. So Barista Boy. This man be scheming hard. We see him very early in the episode. In fact, I think it might be one of the first things that happens in the episode is when Bam is talking to the administrator, and he asks, you hear him ask, "What are your desires?" But it's for a second you think it's him talking on behalf of the administrator, but then you realize no, he's talking to Rachel, or Rahel, as some of you guys in the comments would prefer me say it. But yeah, he's talking about Rachel. Or rather talking to Rachel, asking what are her desires, and just so you know, this is your last chance to climb the tower. And I'm like, ooh, that's mysterious. What is it? Ooh, don't like that. The way that this man plays the game. He's playing, okay, everybody else is playing Hunter x Hunter. And my boy, Barista Boy, my boy you, is playing Game of Thrones, where you either win the throne or you die. And that is what this man is playing. This man is the little finger of this story right now, just scheming away in the background. And I probably even made him the thumbnail if I'm dead serious. This man, like, it's all going according to Keikaku for Barista Boy. Something about him I don't trust, man. I don't trust Yu's scheming. Now, like, there's other schemers in the show, for sure, right? You got, Kun is obviously my bestest boy. Like, you know, besides Rock. But, like, you know what I mean? I called him best boy back in, like, episode 2 or 3. That hasn't changed. Kun is still my best boy. And he's a schemer, for sure. But he schemes for good, whereas Yu schemes for evil. At least that's the way it seems. That's the thing with Tower of God that I've said before, is I don't know where the show is going. I haven't spoiled on a handful of things, but I ain't gonna tell you what I've been spoiled on, so you're just gonna have to guess. But what I will say is that I don't trust this dude any farther than I can throw him, and I don't know if you've seen me in streams and such, but I got twigs for arms, so I can't throw the man very far at all, which is to say I don't trust the dude. Even just looking at Lero's reaction, right? He has that moment where he gives them the side eye. And you're like, okay, what is Lero thinking? And the reason he given him that side eye is because our boy Quant says, like, man, you really put all this together kind of quickly. That's impressive and weird. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how did you make this elaborate ass plan that quickly? And we'll get into the test itself, because I actually have a lot of positives to say about the test. So far, I really like the test. But as Quant points out, like, it's kind of interesting how you managed to slap something that should have been last minute together so quickly and so efficiently. That's weird. And Lero just kind of gives him the side eye, like, and like, my boy doesn't trust him either. Okay, he knows, and like, you just know something's up when because you get these little hints throughout the episode, right? Like I said, you have the Rachel scene, you have them setting up the test beforehand, and then you have Nare. Who is like the blonde girl who we saw the last episode, who I was like, and she's here too. I don't know who this is. But she has this like anima ability where she's able to control certain creatures, right? Like certain creatures within the tower. Or I guess they haven't started climbing. I don't know, whatever. Certain creatures within this area. And it sort of tips Kun off to the idea that somebody might be manipulating creatures such as like the dolphins or the bull. And so that's another note where you're like, okay, something's definitely going on. And then you have Ren confronting Anak, which is so clearly put in place by you, right? Because he says, like, this was all a way to get you, like, to get me to grab, like, the Black March. Like, that's what this was for. It was all a ruse to get you to. I doubt that's all this was. Like, something doesn't sit well with me where I don't think that's Yu's grand plan. I think Yu sees Ren as a tool that he can use for his own plan. I don't think this whole thing was about Ren getting to Anak. I think there's something else going on. Just the way that, like, when it showed him saying, like, this is, like, all put in plan for you, like, I really doubt that. Like, I think there's something else. There's some, like, that's what Ren thinks the Keikaku is. But it's all going according to a greater Keikaku that Yu is playing. You know what I mean? That Barista Boy has set up. I just don't trust this dude. And I feel like there's something else going on. I can feel it in my bones, you know? Like, something's not right. And goddamn. I will say, though, like, if you think, like, oh, I don't like Barista Boy. No, I'm kind of all about Barista Boy. You know what I mean? I'm all about you right now. Because he is fascinating. He's one of those characters where I'm like, ooh, you schemer, but I gotta know what he's thinking. I gotta know what's going on. Oh, he's interesting. He's interesting, isn't it? Okay, calm down. We gotta focus. We gotta focus up. We gotta talk about the underwater test. So the underwater test has some of the most beautiful visuals I have seen thus far. Specifically the underwater stuff. because you do have some solid designs, right? Those dolphins that are basically seals are adorable as hell. Oh my goodness, they are the cutest friggin' things I've ever seen. And then you have the designs for the goblins, which are very interesting, very different. Not what I would consider a goblin, although I will say, if you call it a goblin, I know a certain knight I know a certain adventurer clad in knight's armor who probably ain't that far behind. But I don't know if he would consider those goblins, because they do not look like goblins. And I gotta say, I'm kind of all about that design. That's a cool, different design for a goblin-like creature, and I really dig it. And the worms, those freaking like dune worm things, those were cool as shit. The way that it, like in the demonstration, like jabs its face through the ground and into the lake to suck up the dolphin things, or the fish that the dolphins were trying to get. Ooh, it's just creepy looking. Like, I really, really dig it. And the bull, the design for the bull itself. I will say, in terms of like a creature design, and this might surprise you, the bull I think is cool looking. It's definitely following the rule of cool, but I don't know if that's functional. Like the other creatures I get, like I get like how the other creatures would be functional, but the bull I don't get. His eyes on the side of his mouth, like his mouth, he kind of has like a sideways mouth, a creepy sideways mouth, and he's got an eye on the side of his mouth, and I just don't think that would be very functional for a super powerful creature. I feel like that would be almost a hindrance. But regardless, it doesn't matter because it looks cool. And at the end of the day, if it looks cool, it's following the rule of cool, doesn't really matter. But I did think all the designs were interesting, but I had to point out the underwater stuff. The creature designs are great, but the underwater section is beautiful. Beautiful! I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. Seeing like the way the lighting changes and the fish float by, it almost kind of reminded me of Bam's first real test in the tower, and I was so impressed like by how just beautiful it looked. Like the fish almost looked like particle effects. It was so interesting to look at. I can't stress enough that I thought the underwater section was just beautiful. And as for the test itself, I gotta say I really, really dig it. I think normally like with the other tests, it's very, like all the tests follow like a basic formula when you think about it, right? You have the crown game is just King of the Hill. Tag is just tag, or capture the flag, I guess, like whichever, like either or. Whereas with this one, it's more of a reach the goal type of thing. Like there's always like a basic idea. There's like a basic game at the heart of it. But then when you get down to it, they actually manage to make it really engaging, and they make the game, like the game of tag, I was a little confused by. I saw some people going like, oh, you were confused by tag. Yes, I was confused by tag, fuck you. But with this one, it was way easier to follow. I was like, okay, so I know what everybody's goal is. I know what the mission for each player is. I know what the creatures are and how they function. It was really, really well established, and I had to give them kudos, because I thought that, not that the tag game was like super duper confusing, oh my god, I don't know what's going on, it's just I was a little lost just a tad. Whereas this underwater test, this reach the goal type test, I was totally able to follow. I really think CU did an excellent job at crafting this particular test, and whoever was on Series Comp did an excellent job at translating that material from page to screen to actually make it easy to follow. So I wanted to give some kudos there. I thought that was really good too. But Bam's full faith in his nakama, that got my heart a little bit. And we see it in different ways too. Like Bam talking to Rachel about how he trusts his nakama, and how like he believes in them, and how they truly believe in him. Like they all really love him. And there's a great scene between Kun and Shibisu talking about it, where they just stress how much they truly believe in Bam, and not even so much believe in Bam, but they want to help Bam. Like there's something about Bam that just draws them in. Like they really care about him. And it's so sweet. I love it so much. There's just seeing these characters be friends and be kind to each other and really want the best for each other. It's just friggin' heartwarming. And even though Anak ain't gonna admit it, that concern she had when our girl in Dorsey looked like she was almost taken off the board for a sec, that was some good shit. Like seeing these characters care about each other, I don't know, it just warms my heart. But it also means that when they get hurt, it hurts your soul, because they care about each other so much that you can't help but care about them, and then when you see them get hurt, it's messed up. And speaking of hurt, we gotta talk about the bull. This is where we're gonna end the video, where we talk about the bull. Because the bull is scary. I'm pretty sure the bull just straight up ate the other scouts, which is too bad, because like the scout that they show specifically is the kid with the white shirt and the cool hair. I like that guy. Like, it's the same thing with the knight, where I'm like, he had a cool character design, and like, I kind of wanted to know more about him, and the bull ate him. I think he's dead. Like, I'm not 100% on that, but he was in the dude's mouth and there was blood all over his shirt. So I think he's dead. Now, in fairness, we didn't see the other guy, so that guy is definitely, like, that guy might not be dead either, actually, because unless I see a body, I'm not considering anybody as dead. He might be inside the bull, like he may have eaten him. But with the kid in the white shirt, to be fair, he was intact. Like, he definitely had blood on his shirt, but we definitely saw his whole body. Like, he wasn't eaten, chomped in half. He was tossed aside. So he could still be alive, I don't know. But what I will say is that introduction made the bull friggin' terrifying. Like, the idea that he just took two members of the team off the board, no question. Like, that was intense. And then seeing Shibisu go up against him in that moment where, like, Shibisu uses, like, I'm counting on you, Serena. And he uses the dagger. I'm like, oh, so good. But then there's, like, that moment where Shibisu, like, almost gets eaten by the thing. And I was like, well, so much for I'm not delicious. Like, he was straight up gonna eat my boy. That was terrifying. But then, of course, Anak and Endorsi come to the rescue. But this would lead to Endorsi getting taken off the board, because they basically take turns chasing the bull, and then, as we remembered earlier in the episode, and earlier in the video if you're paying attention, that the bull is very clearly being manipulated. Now, I thought it was by Barista Boy, but it turns out it's by Sheep Boy, by Ren. Right? He's the one manipulating the bull. And because he was in charge, he basically superpowered the bull, and it took Endorsi and Anak off the board. Now, this is where, like, I know I said that I was going to end on the bull, but I remembered I haven't talked about this, so I'm going to end it here. This episode ends with shit falling down. Like, everything is falling apart. Paracule, I will say this about Paracule, because I know people are probably going to be like, I can't believe he did that. I can't, like, to me, this is like a Peter Quill thing, where I'm like, okay, your intentions were good, but you screwed everything up. Like, you know what I mean? If you've seen Avengers, or if you've seen Infinity War, you know exactly the scene I'm talking about. But with Paracule, I'm like, okay, I understand why you did the thing that you did, but you screwed everything up. This is like, God damn it, all right? Because his body just moved, right? Where he's like, that thing's gonna kill Hats, and then it's gonna come kill me. So I'm gonna throw the spear. And I like that even Rack is like, why did you do that? Like, oh shit. You know, because like the whole army just looks up and they're like, okay, so that's scary. That's falling apart. I have concerns about basically every other character. Like, I feel like every character's in danger. And then the last shot is the sheep boy, is Ren throwing the Black March in front of Endorsi, saying, okay, here's where you prove your loyalty to your father. Take out that false princess. And that's where we end the episode. A dirty cliffhanger, but around these parts, at least as far as I'm concerned. Maybe not so much for the rest of the good folks in the community, but for me, I love a good cliffhanger. Like, I don't like a cliffhanger at the end of a season, you know what I mean? But a cliffhanger at the end, like at the end of a week, like when I know that there's another episode coming out the next week, ooh, it gets me good. And something about that ending, man, that has me intrigued. Now, I will say this. I think this is going to be a turning point for Endorsi. I don't think Endorsi's going to do anything to Anak. I will say that Anak is in rough shape. Like, my heart stopped for a split second when I saw Anak get stabbed. I did have a, like, like that moment of, but then I was like, no. Like, I was like, no, Anak's too popular. There's no way. No. like, no, they're not killing Anak. Not at all. But I will say that Endorsi, I think she's going to contemplate it. I think there'll be a moment of contemplation. But I really doubt she's gonna try to fight Anak, and I really doubt she'll use the Black March to even hit her. I really think Endorsi's gonna turn on Ren and use the Black March against Ren. That's just a theory, though, an anime theory. Gonna end the video there. Oh my god, I can't believe I just said that. With that said, though, everybody, I'm gonna wrap up my thoughts here. Sorry, this was a longer video. I had to ramble. I'm so damn excited. Although, to be fair, a lot of you guys have been saying, like, go ahead, man, talk, preach. Like, so I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna make these videos as long as they gotta be. So hopefully you enjoyed this probably slightly longer video. I don't really know how long I've been talking, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed. And hey, if you did, then don't forget to boop the up snoot, which means click the like button if you're confused, or share if you care. Don't forget to leave a comment down below, because that pleases the almighty YouTube algorithm. And again, like I said at the beginning of the video, if you haven't subscribed yet, that would be super appreciated. Trying to hit 25K by the end of the year. I think we could do it, but again, it'll be close. And I would be foolish not to end the video without giving a big thank you to the T Squadron. So thank you guys so much. And if you too would like to join the T Squadron, then go ahead and check out that first link in the description to check out our Patreon page. That would be super appreciated. You can help support this channel for less than a cup of coffee a month, and that would be very much appreciated. So thank you if you're even considering it. But with that said, everybody, I'm gonna go take off. Probably gonna go edit this video immediately, because I'm freaking excited, man. I cannot wait for next week. But until next week, you stay classy, AnyTube, and wash your dang hands.